Hello, Sula here from MistyHilltops.com. Thanks for stopping by. In this video, I'm working on a traveler's notebook layout titled Decoration, and I'll be scrapping these photos, and I'm working with a digital version of the collection Spring Market by Carta. This layout is based on sketch number 12, which is a silhouette cut template that is available as freebie at MistyHilltops.com. And there are a number of freebies available for download, so if you haven't done it, go check it out. Now, this is a mixed media page, so I'm starting by painting the background with broad strokes of watercolor. And you saw me use that strip because I wanted to have a whereabouts idea where I would put the design of the page, because one thing that happens to me commonly is that I put mixed media in the background and then it's all covered up by the design, by just the layout and the elements of the page. And so I'm trying to avoid that. Obviously, I'm working with 2 pages. It's a 2-page spread, and so I have to also make sure that the 2 pages align very well as I work with the watercolor there. But once the watercolor is dry, which doesn't take long with this cardstock, then I'm ready to put things on, to just arrange things. And I like to start by arranging things on the page before I start gluing things down, so that I have an about idea where things go. And you saw me warp, like I felt the paper was a little warped. And I do have gesso, but I used gesso in my early pages, and I realized it just really does things to my page that I don't really like so much. It warps it far more than when I don't use gesso, but it might just depend on the cardstock. I'm not making recommendations against gesso. I think there's reasons why people use it, but personally, I just, with the cardstock that I have, I just am happy to just use the watercolor directly on the paper. Then here I have a stamp that is just a little bit of scribbling, and I just disperse that throughout my page before I start gluing things down. So this is also what helps me make sure that what I'm putting down as mixed media and artwork on the page can actually be seen afterward and is not all covered up, which, trust me, I've done multiple times and it happens far too often for me. So here I switched the stamp to another scribble, and I also stamped that onto the page with the watercolor. Like I said, it only took about a minute or so for the watercolor to dry. And you see me where I have that ink pad, and I got this trick from Stampin' Up. They have their ink pads where they automatically store with, upside down, even though it looks like from the outside it looks like it's all in the right side. So I started doing that with just my normal ink stamps. I always store them upside down so that the ink is actually at the surface where you need it, not at the bottom of the ink pad. So this is a little trick that I learned from the Stamping Up thing. So when you always see me have my my ink pads upside down, it's for that reason only, because it ensures that the ink color is, the ink itself is actually at the surface of the ink pad. So here I'm starting with this strip that needs to go across all 2 pages, and obviously I also want this strip to show in certain places. I want it to be covered up partially, but also to show. And so everything that goes across 2 pages is a little tricky, because I have to ensure that the 2 pages are lined up as I glue things down. So I was doing that, but now I'm ready. The 2 pages are attached in that way, and now I'm just ready to do the simple gluing of the individual element pieces here. And it's usually circles that are covered with other circles or photos, also circular photos, obviously. Actually, this layout was based on a digital scrapbooking layout that is on my blog that I made years ago, but I liked the design, and so I decided I put it into a traveler's notebook. And that's the beauty with these things. I get a lot of ideas from just a normal scrapbook page, usually my own old digital scrapbook pages, and then I turn them into a traveler's notebook. And when you go and get the freebie, because this file at some point will be available as freebie on my blog, so when you go and get that sketch and template, it's a silhouette template, you can just adjust it and make it the size that you want it to be. It could be an 8x8 or it could be a 12x12, become a 12x12 page, and you just resize everything. So now I have everything sized so that my die cuts, circle die cuts, can cut out, so I don't have to work with my silhouette and all that. I'm not even sure which one goes faster, but I do like the faux stitching that come with the circles that I have, the circle die cuts, and my silhouette would not be able to pull that off. So, and I find that the die cut circles, they do have a little bit more dimension than if I cut circles with the silhouette. Usually I roughen up the edges, I run a card along the edges, but not with the circle and the faux stitching there. I find that is enough dimension already. So anyway, I'm almost done with putting down the circular elements of this page, and then it's on to just I just print and cut a whole bunch of the ephemera that comes with that collection, Spring Market by Carta. And I'm pretty sure this one actually was done with my silhouette. I planned several pages so that it's worth a print and cut with my silhouette, and I'm not wasting a lot of cardstock there. So I had a whole bunch of things and printed it on cardstock. These things are pretty sturdy and almost give the impression of chipboard. Only almost, but it's good enough for me anyway, because I wouldn't be able to easily get a hand on the real ephemera and the real stuff from Carta. Besides, what I like about the digital versions of these kits from Carta and all that is that you can resize things to fit your needs. And because I'm working on small scale projects, I never do 12 by 12 pages. So it's perfect for me because I can resize it to fit my smaller. If I was working with the real deal ephemera pack, all the elements would be far too big for my pages to do some real clustering there. I would be able to put a few elements there, but I like the clustering of things. This comes from my old scrapbooking days when I was doing a lot of digital scrapbooking, and I just layered it up on my pages and I loved it. So I'm still doing that on my actual real paper pages. But again, I love the fact that with the digital versions of these kits, you can simply resize everything to fit the needs of my page. And so I'm happy that they have made available these things for digital downloads, not just the actual thing. So then in the end, I flip around the page to then cut it apart. And this one is easy because it's only this one thin strip. And then I still need to also put the title there, and I've decided to put the title right in the center where there's this little extra spot where between the two pages. So the title will go across the two pages, which is always a little bit not sure, because when I ring it up with the ring binding, then the pages are a bit more separated than they are actually in this when I show the photos here. But sometimes I just like to do it just for the fun of it. And this is actually a watercolor pencil. You see there is that watercolor pen brush that I have there. And what my pencils are not high quality pencils, they're just from a local place here. But what I end up doing is I just grab more paint from the pencil with that brush, and then so it's just like dipping it into watercolor by doing that. And then so I can just start painting that title that I used the stencil to write it. And I just love the effect that it gives it. I want it to be slightly imperfect. I don't want it to look perfect, because watercolor, that's the beauty of it, that it does look a little run runny and stuff. So I'm not going for a perfect, even though it might look a little more well done here, but in reality it's just really very inconsistent and stuff. So that's what I'm looking for. That's why I do the titles this way. If I wanted them to look perfect, I would use my die cuts. So here we go. I finished this page. I'm going to leave you with a few more close-ups. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.